Good afternoon. It is Sunday afternoon. Those opening shots were from earlier in the week when it was a particularly beautiful morning. We'd had some rain and it was lovely and sunny in the morning. I was out picking berries. It's quite a morning routine at the moment of sort of going round picking the strawberries off of the front, tayberries, loganberries, blueberries, just a few, black currants, white currants. So it's a lovely thing to do first thing in the morning, collect your berries for breakfast. But yes, I have been busy this week. I have slightly transformed the greenhouse by getting everything potted on. So cucumbers are now in pots. These are slightly smaller pots than I used last year, so I'm a little bit worried that perhaps they're not big enough. I've half filled with my own rough homemade compost and then a peat-free compost on top, so fingers crossed that they're going to like that. All my aubergines on the bottom shelves and chilies and peppers are up there. In terms of cucumbers, aubergines, chilies and peppers, no idea what the varieties are. Labelling has gone out of the window. I've just potted on my loofahs as well. Really, they need to have been in their final home by now, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure I'm going to get much off of the loofahs, but I'm going to keep up with it. Why not? They've gone this far. There's still a few poor straggly tomatoes waiting for a home, but I'm not going to overly worry about that. I've got tomatoes here, which are all looking way better. I'll show you. So they're really filling out now and getting tall. So I've been winding them up the string. I've been taking out any side shoots, and oh yeah, look, we're even getting some flowers now. And the basil is really going well as well. This is the cinnamon basil, which is absolutely delicious. And I think we've got a little marigold flower there as well. Some of the winter salad crops are coming back, so these are fennel, and we've got a little bit of celery here. Oh, and miniature schnauzer. What can you see, Dory? Yeah, you're shocked. She is also shocked by the bouncing back. That's what I was going to say. Bouncing back of the tomatoes. We've got tomatoes in here. I put some tomatoes at the back, so that wardrobe planter that I was umming and ahhing about whether to get rid of this year because it's starting to buckle, I stuck tomatoes in it. So there's tomatoes in there. I've got a few at the plot. As I showed in last week's video, I interplanted with the courgettes some tomatoes, but then I also had the drawers of the wardrobe that I knocked the bottoms out of and have used as kind of small raised beds, just so that I could put some tomato compost on the top, and then I've planted some tomatoes in those as well. So there are plenty of tomatoes going on. I think I'm going to try and fit some of these sad ones just as outdoor ones and see how they do as well. So it might seem like I'm always off work, but I have actually got another 2 weeks off now. So I always take the 2 weeks of Wimbledon off because I like to watch Wimbledon, and I find when Wimbledon is on, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not going on holiday or anything, I'm just at home, I properly relax. So that's my plan for the next 2 weeks. I don't know how relaxing it has been. I made a 4 or 5 page to-do list. that was titled Home Garden Allotment to Sow and Home Garden Continued. So there's lots to do. I shan't take you along with me Monday to Friday like I did with my last week of annual leave, but I'm going to show you some of the things that I've been doing, and we'll perhaps do a couple of shorter videos during the next couple of weeks. One of the things I really do want to get sorted is the front garden. There's loads of garlic and onions out there that are ready to lift. It's also gone a bit mad in terms of weeds, but there's also some really good things happening out there in terms of what's self-seeded. So things that I hadn't expected to come up have come up. And also there's been an abundance of strawberries coming off of that front garden as well. So that's definitely on the agenda. I think I'm going to do that with you tomorrow morning. But at the moment we have Sunday afternoon ahead of us. And I think my next job, now that I did all of this, is to clear the broad beans. So let's go show you those. Now I've already cleared the broad beans off the allotment. I did that yesterday evening, so Liam and I went down. He put up my arches, same as these ones, so they're up at the allotment now, or at least two of them are. I've got another two that still need building, but poor Liam got a blister from my inadequate tools, screwdriver, so only two got up yesterday. But while he was doing that, I cleared the broad beans, so I've processed those. Well, I podded them. I haven't actually blanched and frozen them yet because I thought I might as well do these ones at the same time. And the reason that I'm pulling them up is because they look like this. They have had their day. Now this is the aqua dulce, and this is the crimson flowered. The crimson flowered really did suffer from the black fly. I did pinch out the tops. There have been ladybirds, not as many here as on the allotment, but even, I mean, there are tons of ladybirds on the allotment and even they couldn't keep up with the black fly. So they have rather succumbed as plants, but the beans themselves have been absolutely fine. And where there has been damage on the beans, it hasn't been from the black fly, it's been from slugs and snails really burrowing in. So I'm going to take all of these down. I'm going to salvage what I can of the beans that are on there, and then my job for later today will be to blanch and freeze those. I have to say I've been hugely enjoying the broad beans. Last year I only did one row in one of these beds, and they were fine and it was nice and it was good because it was like the first crop of the season, but it was over and done, and it, you know, it was like 2 meals. Whereas I planted loads more this year. I've had continuous harvests and I have not got bored of them at all. I've been making loads of broad bean hummus, which is absolutely delicious. I've been cooking them in curries, having them just as side dishes. So I'm definitely going to grow lots more broad beans again next year. Probably a lot more on the allotment where the ladybirds are. And perhaps save some of the actual garden space because they are quite big plants and they do take up quite a bit of space. Right, so in terms of clearing these, I've got my loppers. I'm going to cut them at the base and leaving the roots in the ground because they're a bean, they're a legume, and they're a nitrogen fixing, so I want those roots to stay in the ground and feed the soil. Okay, let's get on with it. So there we go, the last of the broad bean harvest. And I do mean the last because I've been picking from these for quite some time. I would say that the Acqua Dolce gave bigger pods, whereas the Crimson Flowered was slower to get going and only gave short pods, but the flower was beautiful, so maybe just grow it for the flower and accept that the crop is going to be a little less impressive. Also, that seemed to succumb to the black fly more so than the Acqua Dolce. The other thing I think I might do next year is to succession sow them a bit more, to extend the cropping period, because although it's been several weeks that I've been eating the broad beans, it would be nice to make that longer. Obviously, if my autumn sown ones hadn't all been killed by the frost, they would have extended the period. So maybe I'll try autumn sowing again this year. So what to do with this bed now then? What do you think, Dory? So what have we got in here? Let's start at this end. We've got peas. They aren't looking too bad. So these are the ones that are second into this space. So I had my first peas in here. I harvested those, took them out, and then put in some more. There's a poppy. We've got lots of coriander. We have got carrots. Oh my goodness, we have got carrots. I did put a row of carrots in here and I thought none of them had come up. But if I get this red vein sorrel out of the way, there's a carrot. And there's some more down there. Isn't it always the way though? Like hardly any of them come up, but the ones that do are right next to each other. Hey ho. So anyway, we've got not exactly a row of carrots, then 2 rows of red onions, which will be ready to come out very soon. This is mallow, self-seeded or come back from last year. This is where I had mallow last year. Looks like there might be some more in there as well. But that's fine, that's vegetable mallow from real seeds, so the leaves are for salads, but it also has a lovely flower, like a lavatera flower. And then all of this, which I have got to say I am absolutely loving, is the coriander that's gone to flower. I grew Amimagus last year and it was a pain in the arse. You know, you autumn sow it, you've got to care for it all over the winter, and then when it came up I wanted it as a cut flower and it said it would be a good cut flower. It's not, it just sheds its blooms straight away. But coriander, I mean, it probably also sheds its blooms, but I'm not really using this as a cut flower. It's just done its thing. I've eaten it, I've picked loads, it's bolted because it's been warm, and then it's just created this beautiful mass of white flowers. Love it, love it. Just for context, here is some Amimagus, which actually has self-seeded and just grown this year, which is the kind of Amimagus that I can get on board with. So it's just come up out of the raised bed here. Interestingly, there was no raised bed here last year when this was planted, because I planted it directly into the grass because it was part of the meadow look that I was going for last year before I replaced it all with raised beds. Now the tulips and daffodils, they pushed their way up from the grass up through the soil of the raised bed and the cardboard and came up. You expect that of tulips and daffodils, but for the Amimagus to do it, quite impressive. I'm impressed with you, little flower. But it's beautiful, yeah, don't get me wrong, but all of this coriander, you know, you can eat it too, and the pollinators love it. Perhaps they love the Amimagus just as much, but anyway, all that to say that next year, and I've got this all over the allotment as well, because you remember I threw all those coriander seeds everywhere, I'm just going to grow masses and masses of coriander to eat the leaves, but then to just have the flowers. And of course, once the flowers are gone, you can harvest the seed. I feel like got overexcited about coriander there, but yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed by it. Coriander for the win. Right, back to this bed. What have we got then? So here's some onions. These are onion long red Florence. So these were onions sown by seed, and they're meant to be multi-sown. There are 4 there, but there's only 1 there. And they do go in roughly a row, so we'll keep those going. then we have these pair. Just little trees, little saplings that have decided to grow in the bed. Well, we don't want those. I have to dig that up. I have actually had these self-seed everywhere. I don't know what they are. What are they? So this is not quite the empty space that it looks like, because if you look here, that's actually a parsnip seedling. And there's some more. There's some more in a row, and then there's another row of them just here. You can see them going along. So they were getting shaded out by the broad beans and probably weren't getting enough water. But now that they're exposed to the sunlight, and I'll give them a good water, I'm hoping that I will actually have parsnips, because I was really worried first world problems, really worried that I wouldn't have parsnips this year, because I haven't grown any on the allotment, which was my original plan before I found out that it was clay soil, and that's not going to be brilliant for parsnips. Nevertheless, where I took the broad beans out at the allotment, I'm very tempted to try and just chuck some parsnip seed down and see what happens. Let me know if that's a stupid idea. And in the very end of the bed, we've got some Florence fennel, some nasturtiums, the Tortandine kale, and some okra, which is actually doing okay. There's a little one there, and there's one here as well. And I mean, my okra harvest last year was just an embarrassment, but what I've done with the okra this year is just place it in various spots around the garden in the hope that one of those spots is going to be ideal and I get a good harvest from that tuber, and then I'll have more next year to plant, because I only had my 2 or 3 very tiny shriveled little ones that I'd saved from my previous harvest last year, and the ones that I got from Real Seeds when they released a few. And I think there were only like 4 or 5 in the pack, so they're an expensive experiment, to be honest, but fingers crossed for me. So this is the nut that those trees grow out of. Are you focusing? There we go. So it's quite walnut-like looking. Focus! There we go. And there's a sapling. Yeah, you find those nuts everywhere around the garden, but I'm not sure what they are or where they come from. It's not a tree that I have. Here's the one that I've been growing on. Not really purposefully, it just self-seeded itself in this pot, and I've let it, and I don't know what was originally in this pot, but it's gone. Maybe a dahlia. But now it's this thing. I'm going to add it to my tree collection, because I also have an oak tree and a silver birch. Don't I, Dory? Oh, Dory's reminding me to show you that I also potted on the globe artichokes. I don't think they're going to be making very impressive plants this year, but they are alive. And talking about things that are alive and got through the winter, look what I found. It's my Echinacea. It was in this pot. So those of you who are regulars to the channel will know that I thought I planted out my Echinacea in the purple bed here, and had to admit that it was actually a dock and pull it out, and then I was a bit fearful that it actually was the Echinacea and not a dock. But no, all fears aside, because there she is. Oh my goodness. I know it's only at the only at the very early stages of blooming, but I'm so excited, and look how many heads are on it this year. I think last year I had 2 heads, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heads so far. Yay! It's still in its pot. I've just stuck it in the mint border because it's waiting to go into this border, as is the yellow peony, and as is the penstemon. But this bee is really trying to get in. It's not quite there, bee. Not quite open yet. I'll try that one. No. Oh. Come and have a look at the verbena. Ooh. Whoa. There it is. Look how beautiful it is. One there and one there as well. I do really love those. And there's the sweet peas going up the obelisk. I had to add some more string because they had got to the top of what I'd already done. But yeah, I've been picking those a lot. Keep picking the sweet peas. I keep coming by, and if I see any that have gone to seed, I try and pinch them out straight away. But then they always spread. Look, there's one now. God damn it. Look, they just appear. Pinch them off. Oh, I should have. There we go. Try and pinch off the whole stem. Any more? Here's some bolted lettuce. So this week I was watching Jessie at plot 37, and she was making lettuce soup with her lettuce, and I read up to see if you could use bolted lettuce to make lettuce soup, and one thing I read said, sure, you cannot, no, don't do it. It was disgusting. I managed a bowl full just thinking, this is really good for me, keep eating, but then the rest of it had to go and feed the compost. So yeah, lettuce soup, don't use your bolted lettuce. I'm standing by the apple tree, so I can't resist showing you that there is actually an apple on here. There is in fact 2 apples on here. There's the other one. There we go. That's all, just 2, and it's still a very long skinny tree. Rather odd, but yeah. And this is more sweet pea, but this is one, it's attached itself to the new sweet pea over here, but this is a perennial sweet pea that I underplanted the apple tree so that it would go up the apple tree, but it's decided instead to go up the post and across to the arch. A quick look at this bed as well. So there's some okra in this one, which seems to be doing rather well. This is next to that variety of pea called Rajiva, I think it's pronounced, which is a soup pea, but the flowers are absolutely gorgeous, and they're like different colours as well. I mean, they're as pretty as the sweet peas, so I'm tempted to just save the majority of these peas for next year and get a good stock up, because yeah, really impressed with these. I can't remember if I kept it in last week's incredibly long video about this bed where I had planted begonias, and that I'm using the begonias as a salad crop this year rather than growing it as an ornamental. But the reason that I'm doing this is because the flowers of the begonia are absolutely delicious. They're like just the sharpest burst of lemon. In fact, I've got one that overwintered and is flowering. This is in the ornamental border. So this is a pink one, but obviously you get pink, red, white, but it's these petals. Oh, sorry about my fingers. Are you going to eat it, Dory? Did you just lick it? Because I'm going to eat it in a minute. Bit gross. It's best to take the centre out and just eat the petals, which we will do now. Brilliant. Love it. Yes, so they're very pretty, but also brilliant edibles. What's up with you? What's up with you? What's with you? Actually, Dory, you're sitting on the trifolium. Off! Off! Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm glad you've drawn attention to it, Dory, because how gorgeous is this? I didn't want it flattened. Oh, well, while we're here, this is turning into a really random half tour of the garden, but this is a dahlia. I got all my dahlias out. So I've put 1, 2, 3 cafe au lait in the pond border. So in there. So they're coming up between the new roses that we planted, which, look at the growth on those, and a bud there, a bud there, focus, there we go, bud there, and I think this one does too. Yeah, there's like 3 buds there, so really pleased with that. And this poor little one from the poorly corner had the most beautiful white rose on it, really lovely. Anyway, cafe au lait. I did put one more in the pond border, which is the France Kafka, or at least it's supposed to be. Does that look like that's what that's going to become? Meant to be pinky, isn't it? It's looking worse for wear, but not quite as bad as this poor dahlia, which has been absolutely decimated. Look at that. I have never seen anything like that with a dahlia. And I know people say some people don't grow dahlias because of slugs, but I've never had that issue before. I don't know whether to just cut that one completely down. But that is the reason that all of the dahlias have got a circle of straw around them to protect them, and so far that's been going okay, and we have had some rainy nights where the slugs have been out. On this side, so this is the new bed, there we go, and I'm well aware this is a shady bed. Dahlias are not really for shade, but I just had to think about space. This gets morning sun and it's still very light, it's just not perhaps direct sun, but I've got night butterfly in here, I've got mystery day, and I've got tartan, so they're kind of dotted around, very easy to see in the little baskets of straw. And just to come back to the raised beds, I just wanted to show you these peas. Look how tall they are. More coriander flowering there, but they're so tall. This is the blush munch too, which I'm really excited about, and just like the soup pea, the flowers are just stunning and all different. Also in this bed are the kales I put out, and they're doing super well. Gorgeous leaf. In fact, I already picked some and ate it. But there's also this celery which has burst into life recently. This is early bell celery. I need to look up the seed packet because I'm not sure whether I should be waiting for stalks or eating it as a sort of small leafy plant. And here are my edible lupins. I'm not quite sure because they're already forming the pods, but there wasn't much of a flower, there wasn't much display, and the pods are very small. This one's still flowering. Okay, they're not as impressive in terms of flowers as the regular lupins, but yeah, interesting to see what comes of those. Under this salad spinner is poor beetroots. So this was a whole row, if not several rows, of beetroot, and my birds, they just love beetroot. They absolutely love beetroot leaves. It's not slugs, it's birds. There is some formation of root underneath, but yeah, I haven't got high hopes for these 2 clumps, and because I've only got one salad spinner, I just keep putting it on top of one and then switching it to the other. Now what I did do was sow beetroot seed between these 2 rows of peas, but I haven't seen much evidence of them so far. They did come up initially, but I had them covered in the straw, and I really, I can't see anything now. Oh, there's one. May have one beetroot. Luckily, the beetroot on the plot seems to be doing really well, and I have got that protected with just some wire mesh. So we may have beetroot yet, but it's not too late to sow beetroot, and that is on my to-do list, the sowing to-do list. Beetroot is on there, so I'm going to do some more of that. Only I can't do much of that just yet because I've run out of compost again. So that's probably the first job of Monday morning, is go out and get some compost, and then we're going to have a go on the front garden. So we'll wait till the school kids have done their school run, and it's a bit quieter. It's always a bit funny filming on the front garden, and then I'll take you out there and we'll harvest some garlic and elephant garlic. In the meantime, I better go process these.